What is up, internet? This is Karl from JocksTube, and today I'm bringing you something a little different for you. With the Division being released earlier this week, I thought I'd give my first impressions on the game and kind of what I thought was good and maybe not so good about the game. Now, I'm going to leave some gameplay of the Division with me and Jordan playing it in the background so that you can see what the game's about. So, the Division is a bit of a blend, I suppose, is what I could describe it as. I mean, primarily it's a third-person shooter, but I mean, it has elements of RPGs and MMOs and action adventure games as well, all built into the gameplay, which I think is quite interesting actually. I think that probably is what makes a Division so appealing. It's not like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield where it's just one target audience really. It appeals to a variety of people. I mean, personally, I quite enjoy the third-person shooters. I mean, you've got like the original Battlefront series, which I quite enjoyed. Just Cause series, that's a bit of a third-person shooter. And I mean, even GTA in some contexts is a third-person shooter. But I mean, there's other people like Jordan who enjoys RPGs. I mean, Skyrim was one of his favourite games that he said he'd ever played. And yet, when we both played the game, both our first impressions were really positive with the game. And I think probably what the Division does best is it places you in a very realistic scenario. I mean, from the way that the weapons, I mean, usually if you was to play a game like Call of Duty or even something like Just Cause where you have these weapons and you're fighting against people, you just shoot and it kills them instantly, headshots every single time, just barely any recoil, and you're like, this is way too easy. But I mean, the Division, you shoot and it right up in the air and you got no idea where it's going, so it takes a bit of skill and you need to learn it and know about the different recoils and get the right attachments that makes everything easier for you, which I think is a real different element which you get not very often in games nowadays. It's not just spray and pray, but you have to like focus your fire on what you want. And I mean, there's other elements which make it quite realistic. There's a lot of side missions and main missions and side missions where your main focus is to go in and rescue these important people that are in society that still are left remaining, such as like doctors or technicians, or at least that's what we got early on in the game. And once you rescue them, you start to unlock abilities which are in their specific field, and I think that's quite realistic, as in you help a technician and he gives you a turret which you can then use to fight off enemies, and you progress through the story and you can use the turret on your side. And I mean, that wouldn't have been available to you, say, if you hadn't rescued him, so it makes sense that you kind of do it, get it back. Very realistic, in my opinion anyway. I mean, even the story itself, I mean, the backstory for the story, I don't know the context of the story, I mean, it's based in a very realistic situation, which probably could happen, I mean, in the future. I mean, it goes from one small thing and it spreads like a virus. I mean, it happened quite recently, back in 2014 with swine flu. It's like massive thing, spread massively, and it could happen to anyone really. But yeah, I mean, the game's not without its faults. I mean, we were probably about 2 hours into the game and we just suddenly got kicked from the servers, and we'd been locked out of our accounts because the servers were too busy and they were locking people out that had been playing before so that new people could come in and play. But that's probably a early on errors that you get really. I mean, we've had a few glitches here and there, people inside the ground shooting at you or getting stuck in things, but the majority of it has been quite glitchy free really. One problem I'd probably say with the game is that it's always online, which there's always problems with games that are always online, especially if you don't have the stablest of connections. But I mean, it can run pretty easily on my internet, which isn't amazing. and I've really haven't had too many problems. I've had a few audio issues, but apart from that, it runs pretty smoothly without any lag whatsoever, really. So I'd say the requirements are pretty low, which means that it's not too bad. But yeah, I think Division is pretty fun. I've had a lot of fun with it so far. We've probably played about 4 or 5 hours. There hasn't really been a dull moment. It's challenging, but I mean, it tests you. But at the end of the day, it's a very, very fun game, which I think is probably the one thing you want to look for in a game is, do you enjoy it? Yes or no? I enjoy it. I would recommend it. But yeah, that's my first impressions of The Division. If you would like us to play it on the channel, please leave a comment in the comment section and give it a like and subscribe if you're new. And until next time, this is Karl, this is Jock Stew.